Part 1. The Fall Taeyang stood on the bridge of his damaged warship and watched Earth burn below. The blue planet that had been humanity's home for millions of years was now covered in smoke and fire. Alien ships filled the sky like metal locusts, their weapons still hot from destroying the last human cities. "Sir, they're broadcasting again," his communications officer said quietly. Taeyang closed his eyes. He knew what was coming. The surrender demand. The end of everything humanity had built. The alien voice came through the speakers, translated into flat, emotionless Korean. "Humans of Earth, your resistance is over. Your weapons are destroyed. Your cities are ruins. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to survive. Refuse, and we will finish what we started." Around the bridge, the remaining crew members looked at their commander. Taeyang was 43 years old. He had joined the Space Defense Force 20 years ago, never imagining he would see aliens in his lifetime. First contact had happened 3 years ago. It had been a disaster. A human exploration ship had accidentally entered alien territory. The aliens thought it was an invasion. Humans thought the aliens were attacking. Within days, both sides were at war. But humanity had been so wrong about their chances. The Galactic Coalition had technology that was centuries ahead of Earth. They had 7 different alien species working together. The reptilian Vrakesh led them, cold and efficient killers. The insectoid Chithrax provided endless soldiers. 5 other species contributed ships, weapons, and resources. Earth had nothing but courage and desperation. It wasn't enough. "Send the surrender signal," Taeyang said finally. His voice was heavy with defeat. "Tell them we accept their terms." 3 months later, Captain Minji walked through what used to be Seoul. The beautiful city of her childhood was now a graveyard. Broken buildings reached toward the sky like broken teeth. Alien soldiers patrolled the streets in their powered armor. They carried weapons that could vaporize a human with one shot. Minji wore civilian clothes now. The Coalition had ordered all military personnel to disarm and return to normal life. Most had obeyed. What choice did they have? The few who resisted were hunted down and killed as examples. She passed a checkpoint where a Vrakesh soldier examined the identification papers of waiting humans. The alien was 7 feet tall, covered in green scales, with eyes like a snake. It moved with the confidence of a predator that had no natural enemies. "You." "Stop," the Vrakesh said, pointing at Minji. She stopped, keeping her face neutral. "Never show fear. Never show anger." That was the rule now. "Papers," it demanded. Minji handed over her identification card. The alien scanned it with a device on its wrist. Green light washed over her face. "Former military," the Vrakesh said. Its mouth parts twisted into what might have been a smile. "You fought at the Battle of Tokyo, yes?" "Yes," Minji said quietly. "Your side killed 300 Coalition soldiers that day. Good fight, but you lost." The alien handed back her papers. "Remember that you lost. Forget about fighting. Learn to serve. That is your life now." Minji took her papers and walked away. Her hands wanted to shake with rage, but she kept them steady. The alien was right about one thing. They had lost. But losing a battle didn't mean losing a war. Not yet. That night, she met with 5 other former soldiers in the basement of a ruined apartment building. They spoke in whispers, always watching the door. "The Coalition is dismantling everything," said Daeho, who had been an intelligence officer. He was thin and nervous, always moving. "All the weapons factories are destroyed. They're taking apart our satellites. They even banned computers above a certain processing power. They want to keep us primitive." "What about the government?" asked another soldier. "What government?" Daeho laughed bitterly. President Kim signed whatever the aliens put in front of him, then killed himself the next day. "The Coalition has appointed their own administrators. We're a protectorate now. That's the polite word for colony." Minji listened to them talk. She had heard rumors of resistance groups forming. Small cells of fighters who refused to accept the occupation. But what could they do? The Coalition had orbital weapons. They had shields that could stop any human weapon. They had faster ships, better armor, stronger soldiers. "There might be something," Daeho said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. He pulled out a small paper map, old-fashioned and simple. The aliens monitored all digital communication, but they didn't care about paper. "Before the surrender, I worked on classified projects. Very classified. There were facilities the Coalition doesn't know about. Places where scientists were working on experimental technology." "Where?" Minji asked. Daeho pointed to several locations on the map. Here in the Korean mountains, under the Antarctic ice, hidden in abandoned mines, the coalition bombed the obvious military bases, but these were so secret that even most of the government didn't know about them. What kind of technology? Someone asked. The dangerous kind, Daeho said. The kind that was banned by international treaty. Genetic modification of humans. Artificial intelligence weapons. Quantum reactors that could power ships faster than anything the coalition has. Our governments thought these things were too risky to use now. He shrugged. Maybe being risky is exactly what we need. Deep in the mountains north of what used to be Seoul, Dr. Hyun sat in a laboratory that officially didn't exist. She was 56 years old, and she had spent the last 30 years of her life working on projects that would have horrified most people if they knew about them. The facility was built into the mountain itself, protected by layers of rock and concrete. It had its own power supply, air recycling, and food storage. It could survive for decades without any contact with the outside world. Hyun looked at the screens in front of her. They showed data from experiments that had been running for years. Genetic sequences that could make humans stronger, faster, smarter. Designs for weapons that bent the laws of physics. Plans for ships that could travel faster than light. Other scientists worked quietly at their stations. There were 15 of them left. The rest had been killed in the war or trapped in cities when the occupation began. "Doctor, we've received a message," her assistant said. "It came through the old military channels. Someone is asking about Project Omega." Project Omega, the last desperate plan, the contingency that Earth's military had created in case they lost the war. Hyun had helped design it. She had also argued against using it because the cost would be terrible, but they had lost. The aliens thought humanity was finished. They thought Earth was just another conquered world that would eventually learn to serve and obey. They were wrong. "Send back the coordinates," Hyun said. "Tell them to come to the facility. It's time to show them what secrets Earth has been keeping." Outside the facility, night had fallen over the mountains. The alien ships passed overhead occasionally, their lights moving across the sky like falling stars. They were confident in their victory. They had broken Earth's armies. They had destroyed Earth's weapons. They had taken away humanity's ability to fight back, but they had made one critical mistake. They assumed they had found everything. They assumed humans would give up. Governor General Vrask sat in his command center in what used to be Beijing and reviewed the occupation reports. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Human resistance was minimal. The population was learning to obey. Within a generation, Earth would be fully integrated into the coalition as a client species. It would be a good assignment on his record. Peaceful occupation of a primitive but potentially useful species. The humans would provide labor and eventually soldiers for coalition expansion. Their planet had resources that were valuable. Their aggression could be channeled and controlled. "Sir, there are reports of small insurgent groups forming," his aide reported. "Expected," Vrask said, waving a clawed hand dismissively. "Every conquered species has rebels at first. They'll realize resistance is futile. Increase patrols in the problem areas. Make examples of anyone caught with weapons. They'll learn." The aide nodded and left. Vrask returned to his reports. He never considered that the humans might have secrets worth worrying about. Why would he? They had lost the war in 6 months. Their technology was primitive. Their military was shattered. In his arrogance, Vrask had forgotten the most important lesson of warfare. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who is stronger. It's the one who refuses to stay defeated. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, in abandoned mines across Asia, in hidden facilities that the coalition didn't know existed, Earth's secrets waited in the darkness. And now, slowly, carefully, those secrets were beginning to wake up. Part 2. The Seeds of Resistance 3 years passed under alien rule. For most humans, life had become a gray routine of work and survival. The coalition provided basic food and shelter in exchange for labor. Humans built things for their alien masters. They repaired buildings. They worked in factories making simple goods. They had become servants in their own world, but not everyone accepted this life. Daeho sat in a small apartment in what remained of Busan. He looked like an ordinary factory worker, tired and beaten down by years of occupation, but his apartment had a secret. Behind a false wall, he had equipment the coalition would kill him for possessing. A radio built from scavenged parts, maps marked with symbols only he could understand. Lists of names written in code. He was coordinating 17 different resistance cells across the Asian continent. They communicated using methods the aliens thought were too primitive to worry about. Handwritten notes passed between trusted people, messages hidden in innocent-looking packages. Dead drops in ruins the aliens never bothered to patrol. Tonight he was meeting with someone new, someone who might give them access to the Coalition's secrets. The knock came exactly at midnight. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps. The correct pattern. Daeho opened the door. A young woman entered quickly, looking behind her to make sure no one followed. She was in her mid-20s, pretty, with short black hair and nervous eyes. "Are you Sora?" Daeho asked. "Yes." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I work at Coalition headquarters. As a translator. Korean to Vrakesh language." "I know who you are," Daeho said. "The question is, why are you here? The Coalition pays translators well. Why would you risk helping us?" Sora's hands clenched into fists. "Because I hear what they say. The Vrakesh commanders think I'm just furniture. They talk freely in front of me. Do you know what they call us? Pets. They call humans pets that need to be trained." Her voice shook with anger. "Last week I translated orders to relocate 3 million people from India to a mining colony 300 light-years away. They're treating us like cattle." Daeho studied her face. He had learned to read people during his years in intelligence work. She was telling the truth. The anger in her eyes was real. "What can you give us?" he asked. "Everything," Sora said. "Patrol schedules, ship movements, command codes. I have access to their entire communication network. They trust me because they think humans are beaten." "The Coalition isn't stupid," Daeho said carefully. "They'll catch you eventually." "I know," Sora said. "But I can't do nothing. My little brother died in the bombing of Seoul. My parents disappeared during the occupation. If I'm going to die anyway, I want it to mean something." Daeho made his decision. "Sit down. I'll teach you how to pass information safely, and I'll tell you about a plan we're working on. A plan that might actually give us a chance." Far to the south, Captain Minji led a team of 12 former soldiers through frozen wasteland. They had been traveling for 3 weeks, moving only at night, hiding during the day when Coalition surveillance satellites passed overhead. Antarctica was one of the few places on Earth where the aliens didn't bother with a strong presence. It was too cold, too empty, too useless in their opinion. That made it perfect for what the resistance needed to do. "How much farther?" asked Hyunwoo, one of her team. He was young, barely 20, but he had survived the war and 3 years of occupation. That made him tough. "According to the coordinates, about 5 kilometers, Minji said, checking the old GPS unit they had managed to repair. There should be an entrance built into the ice shelf. They found it 2 hours later. It looked like a natural ice cave, but when they went deeper, they found metal doors built into the frozen walls. The doors were sealed with a keypad that still had power after all these years." Minji entered the code that Daeho had given her. For a moment, nothing happened. Then lights flickered on inside. The doors opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. "Welcome to Facility Omega," said a voice from a speaker. "Please proceed to the main elevator." The facility was enormous. It went down into the ice for hundreds of meters. Elevators brought them to a level where the temperature was normal and breathable air was being circulated by still functioning systems. Dr. Hyun was waiting for them in what looked like a control room. She was older than Minji expected, with gray hair and tired eyes. But those eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Captain Minji," Hyun said, "I've been expecting you. Daeho sent word you were coming." "What is this place?" Minji asked, looking around at the screens and equipment. "This is where Earth's government kept its most secret projects," Hyun explained. "Things that were too dangerous or controversial to use during peacetime. We have weapons that were banned by international treaty. Technology that most people thought was impossible. And we have something else. We have hope." Hyun led them deeper into the facility. They passed laboratories filled with equipment Minji didn't recognize. They walked through warehouses containing strange-looking weapons and armor. They entered a hangar where 3 ships sat in darkness covered in protective sheets. "These are prototype vessels," Hyun said. "They use quantum drives that can move faster than anything the Coalition has. We were testing them when the invasion began. We never got to use them." 3 ships against the Coalition fleet?" Hyunwoo said doubtfully. "That's not enough." "These 3 are just the beginning," Hyun said. She showed them plans on a computer screen. We have automated factories buried in the Gobi Desert. We have assembly facilities in abandoned mines across Asia. We have weapon caches hidden in ocean trenches. The Coalition thinks they destroyed everything, but we built backups for the backups. If we can reach these facilities and activate them, we can build a fleet. Minji felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. How long would it take? With the right people and resources? 18 months. Maybe less. Hyun's expression grew serious. But there's a cost. Some of the technology we have here was banned for good reasons. The genetic modification programs, for example. We can make humans stronger and faster, but the process is dangerous. 3 out of 10 people don't survive it. The AI weapons are incredibly effective, but they're also unpredictable. The quantum drives work, but they release radiation that can be deadly if the shielding fails. The Coalition is planning something, Minji said. We've heard rumors. Something about relocating most of humanity off-world. Hyun nodded. Sora sent us that information. The Coalition wants to scatter humans across different colony worlds. They'll split us up so we can never organize resistance again. They're preparing transport ships. We have less than 2 years before they start the relocations. 2 years. It wasn't much time. But it was something. Show us everything, Minji said. Show us what we can use to fight back. 5 months later, the resistance had grown. Hidden cells existed in every major city. They had people working inside Coalition facilities. They had captured weapons and stolen supplies. They had hope, but they also had arguments. In a secure location deep in the Korean mountains, the resistance leaders met in secret. Admiral Tae-yang had joined them, brought out of hiding where he had been living under a false name. Daeho was there with his intelligence reports. Dr. Hyun presented her research. Captain Minji reported on the facilities they had secured, and they argued about what to do next. We have to use the genetic modifications, argued Kyung-min, a former Special Forces soldier. The Coalition soldiers are stronger than us. Their armor makes them nearly invincible. We need every advantage. Those modifications will kill 30% of the people who undergo them, Hyun said. Can we really ask people to take that risk? Can we afford not to? Taeyang said quietly. Everyone looked at the old admiral. The Coalition isn't going to give us another chance. If we fight, we have to fight with everything we have. Every weapon, every advantage, every secret we've kept hidden. There are some lines we shouldn't cross, said Soo-hyun, a doctor who had joined the resistance. The AI weapons, for instance. We banned them because they couldn't distinguish between enemy and civilian. If we use them, how many innocent people will die? How many innocent people are dying now? Daeho asked. He spread papers on the table showing Coalition activities. They're working humans to death in their factories. They're taking children away from parents for re-education. They're planning to break up our entire species and scatter us across the galaxy. What lines are left to worry about? The argument continued for hours. Finally, Taeyang stood up. Enough, he said. His voice had the tone of someone used to command. We'll vote. Everyone in favor of activating all of Earth's hidden projects, including the controversial ones. Raise your hand. Slowly, hands went up. Kyungmin immediately. Minji after a moment's hesitation. Daeho. Others. Hyun looked at the raised hands. She thought about the cost. The people who would die in the genetic modification process. The unpredictable AI weapons. The dangerous technology that humans had been wise enough to ban. But she also thought about Earth under alien occupation. About humanity being scattered to the stars as servants and slaves. About her grandchildren growing up thinking they were inferior to aliens. She raised her hand. Unanimous, Taeyang said. Then we're committed. Dr. Hyun, begin the enhancement program. Find volunteers and start the procedures. Part 3. Resurrection. The hidden facility beneath the Gobi Desert had been sleeping for 4 years. It was built during the desperate months before Earth's defeat, when military planners realized they might lose the war. They had buried automated factories deep underground, covered them with sand, and programmed them to wait for an activation signal. That signal came on a cold morning when Won-shik, a former aerospace engineer, entered the correct codes into a terminal that looked like an old weather station. He was 38 years old and had spent 3 years working in a Coalition factory, pretending to be a simple laborer while secretly planning this moment. The response was immediate. Deep beneath the sand, power generators came online. Robotic assembly lines began to move. Fabrication systems started producing components according to designs that had been stored in their memory banks for years. "It's working," Wanchik said into his radio. "The factory is active. Estimated time to first production units, 6 weeks. Similar scenes were happening across Asia. In abandoned mines, hidden workshops came alive. In ocean trenches, sealed facilities began their work. In polar regions, ice-covered installations started manufacturing weapons and equipment. Earth's secret arsenal was waking up. At Facility Omega in Antarctica, Dr. Hyun watched a screen showing biological data. The first group of volunteers was undergoing the genetic enhancement procedures. 27 people had volunteered. They knew the risks. 3 out of 10 would not survive. But they had done it anyway. Yoonji was one of them. She had been a police officer before the invasion, trained in martial arts and weapons. She was 29 years old and had lost her entire family to coalition bombardment. When Dr. Hyun explained the risks, Yoonji had simply said, "I'm dead already if I don't do this. At least this way my death might mean something." The procedure took 3 days. Nanomachines rebuilt her body from the cellular level up. Genetic sequences were rewritten to enhance muscle density, bone strength, neural response time, and healing capability. Her body temperature spiked to dangerous levels. Her heart stopped twice and had to be restarted, but she survived. When Eunji woke up, she felt different. Everything was sharper, clearer. She could hear the hum of equipment 3 rooms away. She could see individual dust particles floating in the air. When she stood up, her movements felt smooth and controlled in a way they never had before. "How do you feel?" Dr. Hyun asked. Yoonji looked at her hands. They looked normal, but she could feel the strength in them. "I feel alive," she said. "For the first time since the invasion, I feel like I can actually fight back." 19 others survived the procedure. 8 did not. Dr. Hyun recorded their names and made sure they would be remembered. Every death weighed on her, but she kept working. There were more volunteers waiting. More people willing to risk everything for a chance to save humanity. Jinho was one of the next group. He was younger, only 22, a university student when the invasion began. He had been studying engineering. Now he was studying how to become a weapon. "My professors used to talk about ethics," he told Dr. Hyun before the procedure, "about how scientists have a responsibility to use technology carefully. I understand that. But the coalition didn't care about ethics when they bombed our cities. They didn't worry about responsibility when they killed my friends. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire." The procedure was refined with each group. The survival rate improved to 7 out of 10, then 8 out of 10. Each survivor was stronger, faster, and more capable than any normal human. They were trained in combat by Captain Minji and other former soldiers. They learned to use weapons that integrated directly with their enhanced bodies. They were becoming something new, something the coalition had never encountered before. While the enhancement program continued, Admiral Taiyang worked on another project. In orbital space, hidden among debris from the war, automated systems were assembling something impossible. Before the invasion, Earth's scientists had discovered a new principle of physics. They called it quantum folding. It allowed objects to exist in multiple locations simultaneously for brief moments. The military had immediately seen the applications. Ships that could fold space around them. Weapons that could strike from impossible angles. Shields that redirected attacks to different dimensions. The coalition's technology was advanced, but it was conventional. They had faster-than-light drives. They had powerful weapons. They had strong shields. But they didn't have quantum folding. Earth's engineers had built 3 prototype ships using this technology. They called them ghost ships because they could phase in and out of normal space. The coalition had never detected them during the war because they had been hidden in orbital debris fields, powered down and waiting. Now they were waking up. Taiyang stood on the bridge of the first ship to fully activate. It was called the Indomitable, and it represented everything humanity had learned about warfare and technology. The ship was smaller than coalition capital ships, but it was faster and more maneuverable. Its weapons could fold space to strike targets from multiple angles simultaneously. Its shields could make it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. "All systems online, Admiral," reported the young lieutenant at the helm. His name was Minseok, and he was one of the enhanced humans. Neural implants connected him directly to the ship's systems. He didn't just pilot the Indomitable. He was part of it, Status of the other ships? Taeyang asked. The Defiant and the Unyielding are both fully operational. We have a fleet of 3 ships ready for combat, sir. 3 ships. Against the Coalition's thousands. It seemed impossible. But Taeyang had read the technical specifications. He had seen the simulations. These 3 ships could do damage far beyond their numbers. Begin patrol patterns, he ordered. Stay in the debris fields. Don't let the Coalition detect us yet. We're not ready for open war. Not yet. On Earth's surface, the resistance was growing bolder. Enhanced soldiers struck Coalition outposts with devastating effectiveness. Yunji led a team that destroyed a weapons depot outside what used to be Shanghai. They moved so fast that Coalition security cameras only caught blurs. They were so strong that they tore through armored doors with their bare hands. The Coalition started to realize something was wrong. Reports came in of human attackers who seemed superhuman, soldiers who shrugged off weapons that should have killed them, fighters who moved faster than should be possible. Governor General Vrask read these reports with growing concern. How is this possible? We destroyed their enhancement facilities during the war. We banned all advanced biotechnology. We may have missed something, his aide suggested nervously. The humans were very secretive about some of their research programs. Vrask's claws drummed on his desk. Increase security at all Coalition facilities. Institute new screening procedures. And find out where these enhanced humans are coming from. We need to destroy their source. But finding the source was nearly impossible. The resistance had learned to move in small cells. They never stayed in one place long. They used the Coalition's own arrogance against them, striking where the aliens felt most secure. Sora continued to pass information from inside Coalition headquarters. She learned that the aliens were worried but not yet panicked. They still believed they could contain the human resistance. They were wrong. In the Gobi Desert facility, Wanshik watched the first batch of completed equipment roll off the assembly lines. Weapons using quantum folding technology, armor that could deflect energy weapons, vehicles that moved faster than anything the Coalition had. We are producing weapons at a rate of 200 units per day, he reported to Taeyang. At this rate, we can equip a small army within 3 months. The other facilities are reporting similar production levels. What about larger systems? Taeyang asked. Can we build more ships? Wanshik hesitated. Ships are more complex. The Gobi facility can produce components, but we'd need shipyards to assemble them. The Coalition destroyed all our orbital shipyards. Then we build new ones, Taeyang said. Hidden ones. Use the asteroid belt. There's plenty of raw material there, and the Coalition rarely patrols that far out. It was an audacious plan, building secret shipyards in the asteroid belt while under alien occupation. But then again, everything they were doing was audacious. 6 months after the Resistance had activated Earth's hidden facilities, they launched their first major operation. It was a test to see if their new weapons and enhanced soldiers could really challenge the Coalition. The target was a Coalition command base in what used to be Australia. It was heavily defended with shields, automated weapons, and a garrison of 200 alien soldiers. Captain Minji led the assault with a team of 30 enhanced soldiers. They struck at night, moving through the base's defenses like ghosts. The Coalition's sensors couldn't track them properly. Their weapons struggled to hit targets moving at superhuman speeds. Yunji was the first through the outer wall. She used a quantum blade that could cut through the Coalition's advanced armor like paper. Behind her, Jinho and others followed, their enhanced strength allowing them to carry heavy weapons that would normally require a vehicle to transport. The battle was fierce, but short. In 20 minutes, the Coalition base was destroyed. Every alien soldier was dead. The human attackers had taken only 3 casualties. Part 4. The Rising Storm. The attack began at exactly 3 in the morning, coordinated across 12 different cities simultaneously. The Coalition had never seen anything like it. In Beijing, enhanced soldiers led by Yunji struck the main administrative complex where Governor General Vrask kept his headquarters. They moved through the building like shadows, their quantum weapons cutting through doors and walls. Coalition guards fired back, but the humans were too fast, too strong, too coordinated. In Mumbai, Jinho's team destroyed a communications hub that connected the Coalition's Asian forces. The explosion could be seen for miles, a bright flower of flame against the night sky. In Sydney, resistance fighters captured a Coalition armory and turned the aliens' own weapons against them. In Cairo, Jakarta, Mexico City, and 9 other locations, similar attacks happened within seconds of each other. The coalition's command structure was in chaos. They couldn't coordinate responses. They couldn't call for reinforcements. And worst of all, they couldn't understand how humans were doing this. Captain Minji stood in the ruins of a coalition checkpoint outside Seoul, watching her soldiers work. They moved with perfect efficiency, enhanced bodies never tiring, neural implants allowing them to communicate without words. They weren't just soldiers anymore. They were something new. All targets secured, reported Kyungmin through the tactical network. Casualties are minimal. 12 wounded, none critical. Good, Minji said. Begin Phase 2. Upload the virus packages into their networks. This was Wanshik's contribution. While the soldiers had been attacking physical targets, he had been working on something more subtle. Computer viruses designed to infiltrate coalition systems. The aliens had advanced technology, but they had never expected humans to hack it. Their security was focused on preventing external attacks, not on stopping code that came from inside their own captured networks. The viruses spread through coalition computers like a plague. They opened secure files. They disabled weapon systems. They changed command codes. Most importantly, they gathered intelligence about coalition fleet movements and sent it back to the resistance. Sora, watching from her position inside coalition headquarters, saw the panic spread through the alien commanders. They were used to fighting primitive species who attacked with simple weapons. They had no experience with an enemy who could fight on multiple levels simultaneously. "Sir, we're receiving reports from all sectors," a Vrakesh officer said to his commander. "The humans are attacking everywhere. We've lost contact with 17 outposts. The communication network is compromised, and there are signals indicating ship movements we can't identify." "Impossible," the commander said. "The humans have no ships. We destroyed their fleet years ago." Above Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Taeyang smiled as he heard that, through Sora's intercepted transmission. "They're about to learn how wrong they are. Helm, take us to attack position. Signal the Defiant and the Unyielding to follow. It's time to show the Coalition what Earth has been building." The 3 ghost ships phased out of the debris field where they had been hiding. To Coalition sensors, they appeared suddenly as if materializing from nowhere. The aliens had never encountered quantum folding technology. They didn't understand what they were seeing. A Coalition patrol group of 7 ships moved to intercept. They were confident, 7 against 3, and they had heavier armor, more weapons, larger crews. The battle lasted 90 seconds. The Indomitable folded space, appearing directly behind the Coalition flagship. Its weapons fired from multiple angles simultaneously. The quantum systems allowing shots to come from positions that should have been physically impossible. The Coalition ship's shields collapsed under the assault. Its hull split open. Atmosphere vented into space along with the bodies of its crew. The Defiant and Unyielding moved like hunting birds, faster and more agile than the Coalition vessels. They didn't fight fair. They struck from unexpected angles, disappeared before the enemy could target them, reappeared somewhere else. Within 90 seconds, all 7 Coalition ships were destroyed. Not damaged, not disabled, destroyed completely. "Target the next patrol group," Taeyang ordered calmly. "Let's send the Coalition a message they can't ignore." In his headquarters on Earth, Governor General Vrask watched the battle footage and felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. "How?" he asked. "How do they have ships that advanced? How did we miss this?" His advisors had no answers. The truth was becoming clear, though. Earth had been keeping secrets. Big secrets. Secrets that could challenge the Coalition's dominance. "Sir, we're receiving emergency transmissions from the fleet," an officer reported. "They're requesting reinforcements. The human ships are destroying our patrols faster than we can respond." Vrask made a decision. "Send a signal to Coalition High Command. Tell them we need immediate military support, a full battle fleet, and tell them," he paused, hating to admit it, "tell them Earth is not pacified. The humans are more dangerous than we thought." The message went out through faster-than-light communication. It would take 3 weeks for reinforcements to arrive from the nearest major Coalition base. 3 weeks during which Earth's resistance would have free rein to strike. Daeho, coordinating intelligence from his hidden command post, saw the intercepted transmission. "We have 3 weeks," he told the other resistance leaders. 3 weeks before the Coalition brings enough force to crush us. We need to use that time well. Then we push hard, Taiyang said. We strike every Coalition position on Earth. We destroy their ability to coordinate.
And we capture as much of their equipment as possible.
When their reinforcements arrive, we want to be ready. The next 3 weeks were brutal. The resistance struck everywhere simultaneously. Enhanced soldiers attacked Coalition bases with superhuman effectiveness. Hidden factories produced weapons around the clock. The Ghost Fleet hunted Coalition ships in Earth's orbital space, destroying anything that tried to leave or land. Yunji led her team through what felt like 100 battles. Each one was dangerous. Each one could have been her last. But she was fighting for something bigger than herself. She was fighting for Earth's future. During a raid on a Coalition supply depot, she found herself face to face with a Vrakesh commander. The alien was bigger than her, stronger under normal circumstances, armed with advanced weapons. But Yunji wasn't normal anymore. She moved faster than the alien could track. Her quantum blade cut through its armor. The fight was over in seconds. That's for Sol, she said quietly, watching the alien fall. That's for everyone we lost. Jinho was working with One-Shik's engineering teams, capturing Coalition technology and reverse engineering it. They found that the aliens' weapons weren't actually more advanced than Earth's in many ways. They were just different. The Coalition had taken one path of technological development. Earth had been exploring another path. Combining both approaches created something powerful. Look at this, One-Shik said, showing Jinho a captured energy rifle. Their weapons are efficient but simple. They never thought about quantum applications. If we integrate our folding technology with their power systems, we can create weapons twice as effective as anything either species has alone. The resistance workshops began producing hybrid weapons. Earth creativity combined with alien engineering. The results were devastating. On the Moon, the Coalition established a staging base for the reinforcement fleet that was coming. They fortified it heavily, thinking it would be safe. They were wrong. Admiral Taiyang led all 3 ghost ships in an assault on the lunar base. This was the Resistance's boldest move yet. Attacking a fortified Coalition position with only 3 ships. We can't win this through firepower alone, Taiyang told his crew. We win through tactics and speed. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and don't give them time to respond. The Indomitable phased into lunar orbit and immediately began firing on the base's shield generators. The Defiant and Unyielding attacked from different angles, their quantum weapons folding space to strike weak points in the defenses. But this time, the Coalition was ready. They had learned from previous battles. Their shields held longer. Their weapons targeted the ghost ships more effectively. We're taking damage, reported Minseok from the helm. Shields at 60% and falling. Keep firing, Taiyang ordered. Target their command center. If we take out their leadership, the rest will fall apart. Captain Minji led boarding parties of enhanced Marines onto Coalition ships docked at the lunar base. They cut through the airlocks and fought their way inside. The corridors of alien ships became battlegrounds where enhanced humans fought armored aliens in brutal close combat. The battle raged for 3 hours. It was the longest fight the Resistance had faced. Coalition reinforcements kept arriving. The ghost ships took serious damage. Dozens of enhanced soldiers died in the boarding actions. But humanity's determination was stronger than the Coalition's confidence. Dr. Hyun's quantum weapons finally overwhelmed the base's main shield generator. The defensive screen collapsed. Without shields, the Coalition base was vulnerable. Taiyang ordered a full bombardment. Fire everything, he said. End this. The Ghost Fleet's weapons lit up the lunar surface. The Coalition base erupted in explosions. Ships trying to escape were shot down. Facilities were reduced to molten metal. Part 5. A New Dawn. The Coalition reinforcement fleet arrived exactly when Sora's intelligence had predicted. 20 massive capital ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a continent. Together, they represented power that could destroy worlds. Admiral Vrask watched from his command center as the fleet approached. Finally, he thought. Finally, this irritating human resistance would be crushed. The fleet commander was Admiral Throck, a veteran Chithrax who had conquered 17 different species for the Coalition. He would know how to handle these primitive humans. Admiral Throck, this is Governor General Vrask, he said over the communication channel. Welcome to Earth System. I recommend immediate overwhelming force. The humans have proven more troublesome than expected. Throck's insectoid face appeared on the screen. His mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Troublesome? You were defeated by a species that lost their war in 6 months? Perhaps you are simply incompetent, Vrask. Vrask bristled at the insult but said nothing. He needed Throck's fleet to solve his problem. I will handle this quickly, Throck continued. My fleet will establish orbital superiority, then bombard any remaining human resistance into dust. This planet will be pacified within 1 week. Throck out. The communication ended. Vrask sat back relieved. Let Throck handle it. Let the arrogant Chithrax deal with these impossible humans and their impossible weapons. In deep space beyond the Coalition fleet's sensor range, Admiral Taeyang watched the enemy approach. The Indomitable, defiant, and unyielding were hidden in an asteroid field, their quantum systems making them nearly invisible. 20 ships, Minseok said quietly. Sir, the odds are not good. The odds have never been good, Taeyang replied. That's never stopped us before. Status of our friends? In position, waiting for your signal. Taeyang had spent the last 4 days preparing something the Coalition would never expect. He had used every resource the Resistance had. He had made promises he wasn't sure humanity could keep, and he had convinced people to do things that might cost them everything. All ships, this is Admiral Taeyang, he said over the Resistance network. Today we stand against an enemy that thinks we're already defeated. They think their numbers make them invincible. They think humanity is weak. Let's prove them wrong. Execute Operation Rising Dawn. Across Earth's system, hidden forces began to move. The first surprise came when the Coalition fleet reached Mars orbit. Suddenly, 6 new ships appeared on their sensors. They weren't human designs. They were Coalition ships that had been captured during the lunar battle, repaired and crewed by enhanced humans who had learned to operate alien technology. Where did those ships come from? Throck demanded. Before his officers could answer, the captured ships opened fire. The Coalition fleet returned fire immediately, destroying 3 of the stolen vessels within minutes. But the distraction had served its purpose. While Throck's fleet was focused on the captured ships, the real attack began. The Ghost fleet phased out of hiding and struck from 3 different angles simultaneously. The Indomitable appeared directly behind Throck's flagship. The Defiant and Unyielding hit 2 capital ships on the fleet's flanks, but this time the humans weren't alone. From the asteroid belt, automated weapons platforms activated. These were Wanshik's creations, built secretly over the past months using captured Coalition technology and Earth's quantum weapons. There were dozens of them, small and hard to target, but armed with devastating firepower. We're under attack from multiple vectors, a Coalition officer reported to Throck. Unknown number of hostile platforms. The human ships are using some kind of spatial folding technology. Our targeting systems can't lock onto them properly. Throck's mandibles clicked in anger. Destroy them all. Use overwhelming firepower. They're still primitives, no matter what tricks they've learned. The battle that followed was the most brutal humanity had ever fought. Captain Minji led boarding parties onto Coalition ships, her enhanced soldiers fighting through corridors filled with armed aliens. The fighting was close and desperate. The aliens were larger and naturally stronger, but the enhanced humans were faster and fought with a fury born of years of occupation. Yunji found herself in a hangar bay, surrounded by a dozen Vrakesh soldiers. They fired at her with energy weapons. She moved faster than their eyes could follow, her quantum blade cutting through their ranks. When it was over, she stood alone among the fallen aliens, breathing hard, covered in burns and cuts that were already healing. Hangar secured, she reported, moving to the ship's reactor. If I can overload it, we can take out this entire vessel. On another Coalition ship, Jinho fought alongside regular human soldiers. They weren't enhanced, but they were determined. They had been trained by the Resistance. They knew they were fighting for Earth's freedom. Keep pushing forward, Jinho shouted over the sound of weapons fire. We're almost to the command deck. In space, the Ghost fleet danced through the battle like phantoms. Admiral Taeyang had spent 4 years studying Coalition tactics. He knew how they fought. He knew their weaknesses. Target the command ship, he ordered. If we take out Throck, the fleet will lose coordination. The Indomitable folded space, appearing right next to Throck's flagship. At this range, the Coalition ship's weapons couldn't track fast enough. The Ghost ship fired everything it had. Throck felt his ship shake from the impacts. Alarms blared. Systems failed. Damage report. He demanded. Shields collapsed. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. We've lost main power to weapon systems. For the first time, Throck felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. How were these primitive humans doing this? How had they hidden this technology? How had the Coalition so badly underestimated them? All ships concentrate fire on the human vessels, he ordered. Forget the platforms. Destroy those 3 ships at any cost. The Coalition fleet turned its full attention to the ghost ships, 20 capital ships firing simultaneously at 3 targets. Shields failing, reported Min Seok from the Indomitable's helm. We can't take much more of this. We don't have to, Taeyang said. He activated the command channel to all human forces. All units execute final phase. It's been an honor serving with you. On Earth, Dr. Hyun activated a system she had hoped she would never need to use. Deep beneath the planet's surface, in facilities the Coalition had never discovered, massive quantum weapons came online. They had been built during the war. When Earth scientists realized they were losing, they were planet-based weapons with enough power to threaten even capital ships in orbit. Earth's governments had refused to use them during the invasion, fearing they would cause too much collateral damage. The resistance had no such concerns anymore. Firing, Dr. Hyun said quietly. Beams of concentrated quantum energy lanced up from Earth's surface, folding space to strike Coalition ships with pinpoint accuracy. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their ships had shields designed to protect against orbital weapons, not planetary superweapons using technology they didn't understand. 5 Coalition capital ships died in the first volley. Their shields collapsed. Their hulls were torn apart. Thousands of alien soldiers died in seconds. Impossible, Throck whispered, watching his fleet being destroyed. This is impossible. Admiral Taeyang allowed himself a small smile. That's what we wanted you to think, but victory came with a terrible price. The Defiant took a direct hit from 3 Coalition ships firing simultaneously. Its quantum drive failed. The ship began to break apart. "This is the Defiant," came the voice of its captain over the communication channel. Her name was Heejin, and she had been one of Earth's best pilots. "We're not going to make it. Reactor is failing. I'm setting course for the nearest Coalition ship. If I'm going down, I'm taking them with me." "Captain, you don't have to," Taeyang started to say. "Yes, I do," Heejin interrupted. "For Earth, Admiral. For everyone we lost. Tell them we fought to the end." The Defiant accelerated toward a Coalition capital ship, its damaged reactor glowing brighter and brighter. The aliens tried to destroy it before impact, but Heejin flew with skill born of desperation. The 2 ships collided. The Defiant's failing reactor exploded, taking the Coalition vessel with it. 2 bright flowers of flame bloomed in space, visible from Earth's surface. "The Defiant is destroyed," someone reported quietly. "No survivors." Taeyang closed his eyes briefly. Then he opened them again. Heejin had made her choice. He would honor it by winning this battle. "All remaining forces, press the attack," he ordered. "Don't let her sacrifice be for nothing." The battle raged for 6 more hours. It was brutal and desperate. The Coalition fleet was larger and had more ships, but humanity fought with everything they had. Enhanced soldiers, quantum weapons, automated platforms, captured alien technology, and most importantly, the absolute refusal to surrender. Slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. Coalition ships broke formation. Some tried to retreat. Others fought to the last, but their coordination was gone. Throck's flagship was crippled. The Coalition admiral himself was dead, killed when a human boarding party reached his command deck. By the time the sun rose over Earth's scarred surface, the battle was over. Of the 20 Coalition capital ships that had arrived, only 7 survived. They fled the system, badly damaged and demoralized.